Hi again, everyone. Ariel's back. I am back with another workshop. This time we'll be talking about budgeting and saving, which is one of my favorite topics. Um, this workshop will be a little bit longer than the previous, but we're going to get into some details and strategies about how you can budget and save to maintain and to progress towards independent living and financial stability. Okay. So let's get into the PowerPoint. So learning financial fundamentals. So this module outlines support information you'll need to know how to build a solid financial future. It will help you review your complete income, debt, and overall financial picture. And we'll walk you through the basics of budgeting. So become informed, know what you're working with, okay? So the first step to effective money management is to learn what it's all about. Being well informed is the key to being prepared. By attending financial workshop like this one or other ones offered in community, organizations, and banks, visiting trusted financial education websites, and completing courses such as this, you can proactively arm yourself with knowledge that will prepare you for a financial future, a healthy financial future. So let's identify your worst case scenarios, okay? So ask yourself, what is the worst thing that can happen to me in my situation? Is it something you can handle? By having a plan for the worst case scenario, you may be able to eliminate some of the fear that keeps you from moving forward and eliminate some stress, okay? It's because being proactive is being practical, and being practical is also a form of self-care, okay? So let's understand our wants and needs and how they differ, okay? Before setting financial goals, it's important to think about what you need in your life and what you want in your life. A need is something you must have in order to live, such as food and shelter, which is our, basic safety needs. And then wants are, on the other hand, are not very essential. Okay. If you have a limited amount of money to buy what you need and want, then you must make a careful decisions about how you use your money effectively. Let's take action. So don't spend months exploring potential financial strategies. Instead, gather information, decide what would work best for you, and take action. Start by setting small, obtainable goals and begin to work toward them, even if you're still learning. So, what's important about setting goals is the steps that takes to get there. So, instead of focusing on a destination, focus on the step at hand, the present step, the moment, the now that you need to make to progress towards that goal. As you begin to take action, it's also important to consider private and public resources that may be available to you. Some of these resources may provide free or low-cost services to support you and your children. They may also offer benefits to help pay for basic day-to-day needs. These may include housing, food, utilities, and clothing. A few programs or resources to include and consider is government benefits, which the websites are listed there, the government gov, benefits.gov, and benefits.gov. Your local domestic violence programs, as in WEAVE, and other places for support groups, short-term economic planning, which I can help with, referral programs, legal advocacy, and of course, peer support. State and county public assistance. If you reach out to your local public assistance office, you can request a list of an explanation of all the programs or services available to you in your city or state. These examples may include cash assistance, food stamps, child support, free or reduced school lunch, and medical insurance assistance. So there is a number you can call. It's 211-211 for Sacramento or all of California, where you can get some listings of where you can find these resources. Social Security benefits. If you are of the age of 62 or older, you are eligible to receive Social Security benefits. These benefits are determined by the amount of income you earned over your working life. Were you married for at least 10 years and have an ex-spouse who's also 62 or older? If so, you are also eligible to obtain benefits based on the working life of your spouse. Drawing upon these benefits does not affect the benefits that an ex-spouse receives, and it can be an important source for income for you. And of course, there's family violence options. So within the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act, each state has the choice of electing family violence options as part of its temporary assistance for needy families, which is called TAMP, state plan. So FVO provides special provisions for those who are victims of family violence. Provision include domestic violence and abuse screening, confidentiality protections for domestic violence survivors, and information and resources. So for budgeting, another important step is taking control of your finances and budgeting. The definition of financial security varies from person to person, so we must keep that in mind. For some, it means having food, shelter, and a decent job, which they'll be satisfied with. For others, it may mean being able to live where you want, afford childcare, and own a car. The need for financial security is one of the many reasons why making a decision to end an abusive relationship can be difficult. Like we spoke about in our previous workshop about financial abuse, it's difficult to make the decision to not be confident enough to know you can live financially on your own and live a stable financial life when you know your abuser controlled all your finances before and you don't really know how to budget or how to manage money or how to save money or even how to earn money in some circumstances. Most women find that their standard of living declines after ending a relationship because you can no longer afford that standard of living, unfortunately. The stress of supporting themselves and their children can be overwhelming and very frightening, which causes you to like live in fear and possibly even get into another abusive relationship. As you take your first steps toward financial independence, developing a budget will help you understand where your money goes and a better plan to reach financial goals. A budget is a tool that will help you make critical spending decisions, okay? To create a budget and keep track of your expenses, first you need to know these things. So hopefully your case manager has these handouts that I provided for them during this time. If not, they will give them to you after the workshop. But if you have the handouts with you, just let's go over the questions and the formatting. You just look over that during these slides, you listen to me, and hopefully you can use these as like a basic budget tool for your income and finances. So you need to know your net monthly income. So your net monthly income is what you receive after taxes are taken out. This is money that comes to your household after deducting taxes, Social Security, insurance, and any other withholdings that are from your paychecks. The amount of paycheck is your net income. So you may make $500 for one check, and Social Security, taxes, insurance, and things like that are taken out. And so you only end up with $430. So the $430 will be your paycheck amount, and that's what your net pay will be. Your monthly expenses. Monthly expenses include, what you need to survive and to maintain. So it's usually food, rent, utilities, as well as some that occur periodically, like car insurance, life insurance, and medical expenses. Next, subtract your monthly expense from your income. Okay. The difference between your income and expenses shows whether you have any money to spare. So let's go back. So you have your net monthly income. So that's all your weeks that you worked added up, your pay stubs added up. You're going to subtract you're going to list out your monthly expenses. And then you're going to subtract your monthly expenses from your income, of course. And then the difference between your income and your expenses show whether you have money to spare. So When it says money to spare, that means maybe for an emergency savings account, maybe for some unexpected expenses that may come up for your child. It can be just spare to just put away in general, invest maybe, or to save up for a home, or apply for any additional expenses that may not be a utility bill or an essential bill. Savings should be treated as part of your budget, okay? Savings should be your priority, and it's the way that you pay yourself first. Managing your finances isn't just paying the minimum on every bill you get. Instead, it's creating a strategy to pay down your debt with as little interest as possible and save money for the future. So this is majority talking about credit. So when dealing with credit, of course, you have a minimum payment, but you always want to pay more than your minimum to keep the percentage of your credit limit down, which keeps your credit score at a higher score. And of course, it eliminates your debt quicker. It's important to put aside money each month for savings, no matter how small, even if it's a few dollars. So even if it's just $3 or 26 cents, savings is savings, and you should be proud of yourself if you're able to put some type of savings away, and always put it away first. Start by deciding how much you can comfortably save each month, and then consistently follow these rules. First, pay your savings account, even if it's a small amount, like we just mentioned. Next, pay your required bills, rents, and utilities. Then pay your other bills like credit cards. Let's look over that again. So first, pay yourself in savings. Then pay your rent and utilities, and your essential bills for living. And then your other bills like credit cards, which is very important. If you do not have any money to cover all the expenses, consider the following. Explore ways to bring in more income. This can be if you have access to a laptop or a phone or computer. There are many online working from home options that we have that can earn you income if that's what works best for you. Of course, there's also other ways to earn income these days, like Uber driving, Lyft driving, DoorDash, Postmates. If you have access to a car insurance, things of that matter, that's a good option. And then the traditional option is, of course, getting an additional job, like a legit job that you have to go to every day or every weekend or whatever it may be. Work a few extra hours a week. So if you work a job already and you don't want to do any additional working from a different company, maybe ask your manager for overtime if that's possible. Reduce expenses by avoiding eating out or limiting treats. So this is something I know that most of us have a struggle with. Eating out is part of the American lifestyle these days. And limiting treats means like maybe not get your nails done, or maybe not buy that snack that you always buy during your time of the month. Just small things like that, and avoiding eating out as much as possible can reduce a lot of your expenses. Cook at home, things of that nature. Find cheaper alternatives to household purchases. So this is something that to consider as well, like maybe buy off-brand products, maybe sign up for some type of membership where the expense of everything is being discounted each month, like a subscription. Make sure you're using like coupons, sign up for reward programs that may, give you discounts from time to time. Reevaluate your needs and wants list. So really consider what is a need and what is a want. This is something that many of us find difficult because we're in denial about what a want is. You want to get this thing or this service, but you're saying it's a need, and we're in denial. We're in denial about that. But that's okay. That's why you always go back and reevaluate your list from time to time. To manage your money wisely, set financial goals. So establish a budget that to help you achieve them. So when you're setting goals, you want to have a reason behind those setting goals. And with this reason, you want to have at least 3 reasons why you're setting this goal. I always advise people to come up with at least 7 reasons why that they're making these goals. So 7 reasons to have a budget, like I said earlier, practical self-care, being proactive, preventing unnecessary stress for yourself in the future. It could be saving up for a home for you and your children to live in. It could be saving up for a car so you got better transportation to work. It can be paying off debt so you can have better credit or be um, just with less bills to pay each month. It can be establishing some kind of trust for your kids or paying for college for yourself or your child. It can be all these different reasons. And so if you make a list of reasons why you're setting this goal, it's much easier to keep that goal, to stay on that path, to make those steps towards that goal, because you're constantly reminding yourself that there's a huge why behind what you're doing and what you expect out of it. What are your personal financial goals? So this is something to ask yourself because it's very personal. This is something you don't have to share with anyone else, but if you like, just out of accountability and out of support, of course, you can share it with your neighbor, you share it with your case manager, share it with me, of course. But personal financial goals may not even consider your children. It can make really consider just you, but of course, you have to consider that whatever your personal goals are, they're going to affect your children no matter what. So that's something to keep in mind. Do you want to buy a car? Set up savings fund for emergencies. Whatever you have identified that is a financial goal to achieve your financial goals, you'll need to manage your finances. Budget and put money aside regularly to meet these goals. For many of us, emotions and money are closely tied, and we sometimes spend or make purchases to fill an emotional need. So this usually ties back to maybe our upbringing or even the relationship that we just got out of that was, abusive. So for this, you really have to evaluate, why do you have this particular relationship with money and why are emotions tied to it. Okay, there is a quiz online that you could take or in the article that you can read to evaluate what type of relationship you have with money. I will be sending that out to your case manager, and hopefully they will forward the information to you. And if you have access to the internet, you can take the quiz for yourself and really get down to, your financial relationship foundation and history, and you can really evaluate for yourself. Where did our relationship create? Like, how did I create that relationship, and where did it come from? Did it come from, how my parents managed money? Did it come from, my household I was living in as a child, or maybe what I went through college, or, like I said, even through the previous relationship you just came out of. This can be a huge challenge for trying to stick to a budget if your emotions are tied to it. If you are having trouble with emotional spending, ask yourself the following questions. What emotions am I experiencing? Am I shopping just to make myself feel better? Is there another way I can fill this emotional need? So these are questions to ask yourself to see if emotions are tied to your relationship with money. So I will leave this slide up for a minute just so you guys can review these questions, ask yourself and see if you can answer them to yourself. All right. If this is something you struggle with, develop a plan to help you overcome emotional spending. You could write down how your financial goals and estimate how much time it will take to get there. So this one is a big strategy, because when you blatantly list out a time frame of what it's going to take to pay off that credit card, or what it's going to take to save up for that house, or what it's going to take to pay for that college or education that you want to have, it gets real quick for you. Okay. So when you're doing this, this is another way to come up with your why, another way to understand your why behind the reason you want to make these financial goals, and it'll make you really get serious about these goals. And but also it may cause other emotions to come up, like doubt or insecurity and things like that. And you must remain positive um, in this plan and in this process, because you can be doubtful and you can, play yourself basically. We all know that we can attain these goals if we put our mind to it, if we put effort into it, energy into it, we discipline ourselves, be consistent. But if we're constantly down ourselves, we're putting more effort and energy and consistency into doubting ourselves rather than approaching our goals. So that's something to consider. Once you see something like this, you might feel overwhelmed or feel that you can't reach it, but just know that you can, and just use the resources that are available to you. Keep your written goals in a place where you'll see them, read them often to remind yourself of your goals. So, like I mentioned before, make a list of goals, make a timeline of how to reach those goals, and of course, always include your 3 to 7 reasons why you're setting these goals. So you can reevaluate them, look at them, visually see them each day or each week, so you can have something to focus on. Consider setting electronic reminders or even words of encouragement on your smartphone or other electronic devices. This may help keep you on track if your emotions start to take over. So, like I mentioned before, our emotions are usually lies. Like 80% of our thoughts are lying to us, okay? So we must evaluate and really determine, okay, is this a lie or a narrative that I'm creating to keep myself down or to keep procrastinating or to keep not believing in myself, or is this reality? So you have to be able to distinguish between the two so you can make these proper steps. These are great advice for to stay on track of your goals, like keeping a calendar, of course, so you can track your timeline, electronic reminders. So if you're trying to pay off some type of debt or making sure you're making on-time payments, put it in your calendar. Hey, the rent is due on the 1st. My utilities are due on the 6th. My car payment's due on the 12th. My cell phone's due on the 19th. Whatever it may be, keep it in your calendar. Make sure you put reminders on those calendar links. So it may remind you a week before, or 3 days before, or the day before, the day of, whatever it may be. Words of encouragement for myself, I like to keep different words of encouragement on the lock screen on my phone or the background on my phone, or if you have access to social media and you're using social media, it's a great thing to change the algorithm of your timeline. Instead of following celebrities and just random foolishness online, follow accounts that are encouraging. If you have a faith in a certain faith or religion, follow accounts that are aligned with that faith. Follow accounts that align with your goals. So if you're setting financial goals, follow accounts that give you advice about reaching financial goals, give you encouragement about keep going, give you insight about what steps to take, just so you can have daily reminders of staying encouraged and knowing that you have a community and knowing that people out there also, making these goals as well, and that you're not alone. But yeah, this will help you keep track of not only your goals, but also control your emotions if they start to take over. Examine your feelings and notice when you're being tempted or to overspend based on your emotion. So this is something that is difficult to understand because everyone's different. And even though it says like you may be an emotional spender, we don't know what emotion may trigger that. So it can be like a small, not small, but a sad emotion, or maybe a happy emotion, like, hey, I just accomplished this goal or this step in the goal, and I want to go spend and splurge on myself. Um, so it can be different for anyone. So this is something you personally have to do and examine, like, hey, am I spending this because I have allocation to, like I have a little spare change, or I deserve it, or am I doing this because I just want a reason to overspend, which is very tempting. When you do, consider alternative ways to meet your needs. Remind yourself of how you will feel when you meet your financial goals. So if you're being tempted and you know you're being tempted, you're acknowledging it, you're accepting it. Just think of like, okay, I'm spending this money. This is going to prevent me from reaching my financial goal. And if that financial goal is very important to you, which I hope it is, hopefully considering that will prevent you from overspending or, not sticking to your budget or whatever the case may be. Consider putting a purchase off for a day. Do you still want it 24 hours? So this is something to also question as well. So if it's something you want to purchase, like a new pair of shoes, a new cell phone, food, even if it's like a food outside of your grocery budget or whatever it may be like, is this going to be satisfying 24 hours from now? Is this going to be remembered 24 hours from now, especially when it's still in food? And many people, they want to get that new burger, or they want to get that new drink from Dutch Bros or whatever it may be. And it's just like, okay, was it worth it? Did it taste as good as I thought it would? Do I even remember it in 24 hours? Was it, So this is something to consider as well before taking a purchase. Like, what difference would it make in 24 hours since you purchased it? To help keep yourself on track, consider these questions before making a purchase. Did I compare prices? So be sure you are paying a fair price. They have price match now in many of these stores. So you may find something online, or you may find something at a competitive store in the neighborhood and be like, oh, I saw this here. I would like to price match it. I know many places do it. I believe Target and Walmart does it. I'm not sure what other places do it, but that's something to consider. Trying to get the best price, best bang for your buck, basically. Is this a need? Like I mentioned before, we need to evaluate our needs and wants. Okay, don't buy something just because you fell in love with it. Like, is this something you actually need? Can I afford it? So don't spend more than you can afford. So when you have a budget, you know how much you can afford weekly. You know how much you can afford bi-weekly. You know how much you can afford monthly. Okay. And so this should be an easy question to answer if you're keeping budget and sticking to it. Will this delay me from reaching my goals? Like I previously just said, really consider, is this worth a delay in my timeline? Is this worth adding additional time and effort and energy that could have been avoided in order for me to reach this goal? So if you have to borrow in order to buy something, it will take longer to achieve your financial goals because you will pay interest on the loan. So this can also be considered if you're borrowing money from a friend or family member. Um, Even if they don't charge you interest fees, you still have to allocate that amount of money out of your budget to pay them back the next month or the next week or whatever it may be. And that money coming out of your budget, of course, already set aside for something else. Maybe it could be your savings, maybe it would be your credit card payment, maybe it'd be groceries. That's taking money from your budget. So that's gonna make you have to stretch out your budget for groceries, or maybe set you back a payment in your credit card or whatever it may be. And this particular advice statement is concerning paying interest on a loan or a credit line. So that's something you want to avoid too. The best way to teach children about finances is to be a good role model. This applies to not only finances, but your overall lifestyle. Children learn from what they see, what they hear, and what they see. And they are very smart. So if you're telling them one thing but doing the opposite, they're going to recognize that. And they may not do the same as you, but they're going to recognize that you're not being consistent with what you're saying. And they may not look up to you for that. And you always want your children to see you as a positive role model in their life. So that's something to consider. They will pay attention to what you say about money. So if you're telling them like, oh, we're broke, or, we're poor, or just negative things about money, it's going to create this negative impact on the relationship with money. Like I mentioned before, our upbringing has a huge, crucial impact on our relationship with money, how we spend money, if we save money or not, where our money goes to, what we value is important for our money to be spent on. They would notice how you manage your money. So they would know if, you're always shorting your bills, or you're buying expensive shoes or purses, but somehow they can't afford to eat, things like that. Let your children see you budget, comparison shop, and make regular contributions to a savings account. So teach your kids how to budget from an early age. If they're too early to understand that, show them, oh, mommy's sitting down to balance her checking book today, or our checking account today, or um, mommy is color coding our bills so we can keep our budget and know when things are due. When you guys are out shopping, show them, you know, for this ounce a can versus this ounce in a can, which is a better which is a better bang for your buck, basically. Or like I said before, price matching, or just finding ways to compare things in while you're shopping so they can see, okay, let's get the best price for us. Make regular contributions to a savings account. Take your child to the bank with you, whether you're using like an ATM or going inside. Let them know, like, hey, I'm putting money to a savings account, and explain to them what that savings account is for. Emergency, for their tuition if they want to go to college, for buying a house or buying a new car, or whatever it may be. While it's necessary for you to save for the future, it's also important to reward yourself. So this one is kind of difficult because you really personally have to decipher between rewarding yourself or just playing yourself, basically. So rewarding yourself is after, in my opinion, is after, making real, true effort and sticking to the timeline, sticking to the steps that you need to take to reach that goal. Making one step, yes, it's something to congratulate yourself on. Yes, it's something to pat yourself on the back for. Yes, it's something to celebrate a small win. But should that equal to going to purchase something that you can afford, or going to purchase something using your savings that was supposed to be for emergency? No. So let's go over this. Here are some fun ideas to treat yourself and your children without breaking the bank. Treating yourself, giving yourself a manicure. So it says giving yourself a manicure, not going to get a manicure. So maybe save money on going to the nail salon by purchasing a manicure kit online. And that's something that you can keep for years and years. And you only made one investment in it, and you can use it, your child can use it. Read a good book. So if you're into reading and you enjoy literature, maybe find a discount book at a secondhand store, or a discount bookstore, or even a digital book or a free book online, and read it and enjoy yourself and take that time out for self-care. Go for a walk. So maybe go for a walk by yourself, get a break from the kids, get a break from, all life expectations and, adulting, and just get away and take a walk by yourself. Invite friends over for a potluck or share a cost of meal. So that's something that I personally enjoy doing. Sometimes people bring their favorite dishes over and lower the cost rather than hosting a gathering by yourself where you're supplying the drinks, supplying the food, supplying the entertainment. Instead, you invite people over and they help bring, so shares the cost of those things. Enjoy your favorite dessert at home. So instead of going out and door dashing cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, it's very much cheaper to designate a portion of your budget for groceries to buy a few ingredients for cheesecake and make it at home. Treating your children. So cook or bake together. This is something that children really enjoy doing. It's a great way to start teaching them a good life skill, being in the kitchen, showing them how to wash their hands and keep up with the mess, clean up before and after throughout, your baking experience, showing them how to be safe in the kitchen, how to work the stove, the oven, teach them about, you know, cross examination, whatever the case may be. You can make this a lesson, but also very fun. Read them a story. Kids love stories, they have huge imaginations. So, reading is very fundamental for that, and also just to teach them good habits about reading because reading is very much needed for all humans. It's the best way to learn, and that's something you want to allow them to learn from a young age, and so they can apply to their adult life so they can be knowledgeable of their life and the world around them. Go to the library. This is something that isn't as common anymore. And I know libraries are closed right now because of COVID, and they're becoming very extinct, unfortunately. But going to the library is a great resource. It's free. Just sign up for a library card. They have book clubs, reading clubs for kids and adults, resources, and it has a lot to explore. Play a favorite game. So this can be something you create as a routine or tradition in your family, that on Tuesdays, Susie picks the game, on Wednesdays, Tony picks the game, whatever it may be, and you can play their favorite game with them. And that's how you treat them for, not asking for McDonald's or not asking for an expensive toy or, budgeting their allowance if they get an allowance or things like that. Invite friends over for a sleepover. So those are ways to treat your children. So for saving strategies, we have credit unions and online banking, okay? So earning interest on your money is an important way to strengthen your financial future. So many of our regular banks like Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, when we open up accounts with them, we are paying them not only to open that account, but also to keep our money in that account, which is very similar to credit unions and online banking, but when credit unions online banking, you get a profit from that. So typically it does cost at least a dollar to open a credit union account or a online banking account. But you can earn interest on this. So you can earn an API percentage, which is a percentage to cents on however long or how much money you put into your account. So if you keep $300 in your account at all times, you're earning like a 0.01% into that account. So you're making money for keeping money into these bank accounts, and that's what they mean by earning interest. The secret to earning money on your savings or investment is compound interest. This is because you earn interest every year, both on the amount that you deposit plus on the interest you've already earned. Compound interest. For many of us, savings $5,000 a year is impossible, and that's okay. Start with an amount that works for you, maybe 2% of your income. So only you know what 2% of your income is, so that's something to consider. Um, for example, if you make $25,000 per year, your annual retirement saving goal would be $500 per year, or about $40 per month. So you're going to try to save $500 a year. So when it's time to retire, you'll still be able to maintain the lifestyle that you're used to. To make compound interest work for you, start early. The younger you start saving, the more time compounding can work in your favor, the wealthier you can become. Make regular investments. Do whatever it takes to maximize your contributions. If you work for a company that provides match, make sure you enroll. So they're talking about retirement plans and healthcare plans. So sometimes when you're working for a company, they offer you a retirement plan, and you can pay an amount, and they have programs where they match that amount. So if you're putting down 3%, they're going to match that 3% and basically double it to make a 6% contribution to your retirement fund. Be patient and don't touch the money. Compounding only works if you allow your investment to grow. So this includes like Roth IRA account, which is another way to invest in retirement. They have CDs, which is another way to invest in just savings. And these are things that you shouldn't touch for at least like 15 years plus. So your interest can actually compound and be worth something. Savings accounts. Interest earning savings accounts. These accounts will earn you the least interest of all the options. However, they are very safe and money can be withdrawn at any time. This is a great option for saving emergency funds. So this is the main account that I spoke about before, which is opening an online banking account or a credit union account like Golden One Credit Union or Safe Credit Union. Money market accounts. These accounts pay about 0.5% higher interest than traditional savings accounts, but they may require a higher minimum balance. You can usually make as many deposits as you want for free. However, there are limits regarding the number of withdrawals that you can make each month. So this is another account you can get through a credit union or money market or online banking. It is similar to the interest earning savings account, but it just has a higher percentage and it's a higher minimum. So typically they would like for you to start off with at least 1,000. Some banks require 1,500 or 2,500 minimum balance, and it has to stay at that balance the whole time. And you can make deposits as freely as you want to, but it just limits the numbers of withdrawals. So like you only can withdraw from that account twice a year or once a year, every 6 months, or whatever the case may be. Like I mentioned before, a CD is a certificate of deposit. If you have money that can be tied up for 3 months to 6 years, certificates of deposits will usually offer the highest interest rates depending on the term. Term is how long it must remain deposited. Like I mentioned before with the money market accounts, it has to stay at a minimum. So determines how long it must be remain in deposit. So that totally depends on the bank. It totally depends on what type of CD you're applying for. There are penalties for every early deposit, so choose a term you can live with. This is a great option for funds you won't need immediately. So these are funds where you're planning on not emergency, because emergencies you will need immediately if emergency happens, but more for like, oh, I'm planning to purchase a house in 10 years. This is a great way to save up for that. Experts advise setting up an emergency savings fund. It should have enough money to pay 3 to 6 months of basic living expenses such as housing, transportation, and food. I recommend 6 to 8 months for a savings fund, emergency savings fund. Like I said, basic, essential need living expenses. That's what it's supposed to afford you for. So housing, transportation, food, utilities. For many of us, the amount seems impossible and out of reach. Don't let that stop you. Begin with savings goals that feels realistic. Okay. Savings. Consider setting up an automatic transfer or direct deposit to build your savings account over time, even if it's a small amount. So savings, like we mentioned before, to start with a small amount. This can automatically come out your paycheck each week, or it can automatically come out your checking account each week. It just be a small amount deposited directly into your savings account on a certain day. This way, saving is automatic and happens regularly, and you'll know how much is being budgeted out in your budget each month. There are different types of accounts where you can earn interest on savings. Each type offers different interest rate. Like we mentioned before, there's the interest savings account from a credit union or online banking. There's also, the money market, and then there's CDs. And that was the end of our savings and budgeting workshop. I hope that I wasn't too long-winded. I hope that you got something out of it. And like I said, I will be providing these PowerPoints and also some handouts so you guys can have something to look back on as a resource to go back to get more information or to, re-educate yourself again on what we talked about today. I hope you guys got something out of it and enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys soon in the next workshop, and take care.